right, let's get right into this because this is a huge video topic that is absolutely shaking the Social Security field as a total, as an industry, as an administration. It is surprising a lot of people. Most individuals did not see this coming when it actually came. And the reason why is because Martin O'Malley, the commissioner, the current president of the SSA, has spent a lot of amazing ideas for the justice of the American people, their representatives, making Social Security benefits better. But here's the kicker. He has officially resigned. He won't be leaving until basically the end of the month. But what he's doing is he's planning a transition to the Democratic National Group to go ahead and potentially lead it going forward. Now, with that said, this has a lot of potential reasoning behind it. I'm going to go through an article real quick, and then I'm going to share with you my thoughts as to why this is an incredible thing that he's doing. Not so great for the Social Security Administration in the immediate sense, but it is a good direction for him to one day become president. Let's get into it. This is from the Federal News Network. This was by basically Drew Friedman. Let's go right into it. Martin O'Malley, Commissioner of the Social Security Administration, will resign from his position at the end of the month, the end of November. O'Malley announced his resignation Monday while sharing his plans to seek a nomination for chairman of the Democratic National Committee. We must connect, his quote, our party with the most important place in America, the kitchen table of every family's home, O'Malley wrote in a post on X announcing his resignation. The New York Times first reported O'Malley's planned resignation, which will take effect November 29th. O'Malley held the top position at the SSA for just under a year. President Joe Biden nominated O'Malley as SSA commissioner in July 2023, and the Senate confirmed him to the role in December of 2023. Prior to leading the SSA, O'Malley served as the governor, it's like the president of the state of Maryland, and the mayor, right? It's like a lesser position, of Baltimore, okay? So the bottom line is this. He also unsuccessfully ran as a Democratic presidential candidate in 2016. That's the important part. Focus on that. What is his greatest failure to date? His greatest failure is not winning president in 2016. He was cast aside, okay? Now, he had to compete against some major characters, right? He had to compete against, obviously, Donald Trump. He had to compete against, obviously, Hillary Clinton. He had to compete against a party that had already established people on both sides of the fence that were bigger and more well-known than him. Now, with that said, during O'Malley's tenure at the SSA, he focused largely on the 800 number and making improvements, as well as rooting out underpayments and overpayments in Social Security. Earlier this year, SSA launched a security stat initiative focusing on addressing customer experience challenges for the agency using data-driven decision-making. So he would basically create metrics and follow the metrics and see how the employees were doing, how much was completed, what are people complaining about, what's the wait time on the 800 phone numbers. Over the past several months, O'Malley has held regular security stat meetings to review performance metrics and identify actions for progressing toward better customer service. Now, why is that important? He has proven himself consistently to make systems, he's an inventor, that study the weaknesses of a corporation, to fix them and inspire the future employees and the current employees to do better. Why is this important? Well, you might be thinking, yeah, it's really great that we have this guy in the SSA. He did some good stuff. Now he's leaving. That sucks, yada, yada. It's important because we don't ever get leadership at the A grade level at the Social Security Administration with the intent of making the SSA work for the American people. We don't normally get that. We might get great business people, right? We had Saul, but Saul was definitely not for the American people who were receiving Social Security benefits. That was not his, no. In fact, when I go look at a lot of case law that changed to be -4 claimants, it was when Commissioner Saul went in. When we would see lawyers suing the SSA over things that were in the policy books that were pro-claimant, that next year, that pro-claimant notation was taken out. This was an A-grade level individual who fought for the rights and benefits of the American people. Now, O'Malley, however, also warned that without more resources and support, the SSA workforce will struggle with rising employee workloads as the agency faces a record high number of beneficiaries and historically low agency staffing. They are in a crisis right now, a crisis never before seen. It is a 50-year low and will continue to drop. it will go to 55-year low, 60-year low of employment. That means if you go back 60 years at some point, that's how many employees they will have had back then and how many employees they will have now. And yes, they're going to have to use AI to fix a lot of this because they're going to need digital brains constantly buzzing around. The only question I have is, will you be able to opt out to giving AI all of your personal information? Something to question. Quote, "We have now reduced the wait times on the 800 number by 50%, O'Malley said. O'Malley told Senate lawmakers in September, for the first time in recent memory, quote, "We have cleared more cases every week for 12 weeks in a row in the initial disability determination that have been filed on the front end of that process. And we have reduced the appellate level hearing backlog to a 30-year low. But make no mistake about it. These recent gains will be short-lived without your immediate attention and support." Now, what did O'Malley do? He was not afraid to do what top-level executives do. They find the resources, they ask the simple questions of what needs to be done, and they find a way to reroute those resources to deliver what seems like seamless, but is often not internally, great results. That's what he did. He took some of the top-level individuals, top-level thinkers at the higher levels of the SSA, and he moved them over to processing claims with the initial filing groups. And that's how he's able to really push and push and push and get through a lot of that backlog that was problematic. That's how he's able to go ahead and push things forward. Now, O'Malley is scheduled to testify before the House Appropriations Committee on Wednesday about the state of the SSA's budget, which is dismal. During that hearing, which he said is the first one before the Appropriations Committee in a decade, O'Malley is expected to tell lawmakers that the agency's lowest staffing levels in 50 years have caused severe damage to how SSA serves its citizens. The result of the growing gap between record high numbers of customers, this is a quote, and 50-year lows in staffing is this: the customer service that Americans have already paid for has been allowed to decline to crisis-level lows. He stated in his written testimony, "We can restore the excellent customer service that you and your constituents expect and demand from Social Security, but only if you, in Congress, do your goddamn part." He didn't add that little bit. Do your part. Do your effing part. Do your damn part. Do your part. Isn't it amazing how House of Reps, senators, they're just not really that interested in talking about Social Security. They're not willing to even have meetings on it. It's weirdly disgusting that people with lots of money, Democrats and Republicans, don't give a shit about people who don't have lots of money. See, now, I think that's an interesting situation because the people who don't have much, when you keep giving them less, and you keep giving them less, they get to a point where they have nothing to lose. I don't think these politicians realize how bad it is in America right now. Sure, it's not like the coasts of Africa, which have war zones in them, or some of the spots in the Middle East where people dare not go. Sure. But what would it take to convince Americans that they don't have anything to lose? I would be afraid of that as a politician. I'd be thinking about that at night. All right, let's keep rolling through this. We can restore the excellent customer service that you and your constituents expect and demand from Social Security, but only if you and Congress do your part. The fiscal 2025 president's budget funding level would be a huge step in the right direction towards providing the American people with a level of customer service for which they've already paid, but have in recent years consistently been denied. In his first few months at the Social Security Administration, O'Malley also traveled to various SSA offices across the country to meet with agency employees on what he described as a listening tour. And he did that. He literally went to field offices and he would sit there and wait for somebody to go ahead and bring him in and talk to him and do this and that. It was amazing. He would sit there and talk to customers about their experience in the waiting areas. How many commissioners do you know would be smart enough to do that? Because here's the thing. If you want to know how well a city is doing, you pay for a cab ride. And then you ask the cab driver what's going on in the city. That's how a smart person, an A-level player, does it. A dumb person will go and ask the employees what they think and then leave it at that. Now, you will get 50% of your knowledge base, but you will miss the entire other 50% of the spectrum. Now, in 2024, for the first time in years, SSA employees' results on engagement, satisfaction, and agency leadership all trended positively in the results of the 2024 Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey. So things are getting better. People are digging the SSA again who are working internally with it. The agency received a 70% response rate on the 2024 FEVS, in part due to an agency-wide marketing campaign. O'Malley led the campaign to encourage more employees to fill out the survey. In another recent update, SSA announced on November 13th that the agency is moving away from walk-in customers at field offices and toward mainly scheduled appointments. Starting in January of 2025, SSA will require most customers to make appointments before visiting a field office. As I've been telling you guys all along, they're going to be getting rid of a lot of these walk-in appointments or walk-in options because they don't have the staff to meet with you. And also, to be fair, it's a huge line at the door. And also, to be fair, it's one of those situations where they're trying to go ahead and make as much of this telephonic as possible. The agency said it will make some exceptions for walk-ins for those who are either unable or unwilling to make an appointment or who otherwise require special attention. That includes, for instance, members of vulnerable populations such as military members and people with terminal illnesses. Already, close to 400 Social Security field offices moved to appointment-based services during 2024. Quote, these offices have seen significant improvements in wait times due to more efficient and helpful visitor experiences and increased in the number of customers able to complete their business online. SSA wrote in the November 13th announcement, as a reminder, many of our services can be provided via phone with an appointment and do not require a customer to walk into an office for service. Now, that's the article. Here are my thoughts on this situation, because some of you will see them as radical. Some of you will say, well, that's exactly what's going on. I want you to hear me out, because when I say these things, I need you to just think a little bit deeper about the analysis. Remember, 50% of America has below average analysis skills. The average person with analysis skills is literally somebody who's walking into a tanning salon hoping to get a little bit more of a zing, a buzz, a browning, if you will. Okay? After they've already been told enough's enough. Just remember, when you think about your friends, your top 5 friends, how many of those 5 friends have good analysis skills? I think we'd all agree not many of them. Not many of them. And that's okay. That's very okay. That just means that they're easily manipulated. And that means that politicians can usually get what they want out of them. Now, with this situation, O'Malley flipped the script. He started saying out loud, like Trump did when he was running initially. He started saying out loud the solutions to what people wanted. And he put that blame, he put that shit on the SSA and said, we're going to have to fix this. You don't get A-level players until you get that, because that dictates a winner. Somebody who sees what people want and finds a way to blame the giant machine that doesn't give a shit and then make the machine give the people what they need. Here's the deal. Why did he resign from the SSA? The road to being president is always chosen for you. Whether it be heads of states, entire countries, corporations, the elite class, or those desperate for what they believe is right. But the road to the White House has never been the SSA. The SSA is not the way that people become president. It's just not. It never has been, because it's considered the third rail. The moment a politician touches it, they get electrified, they lose their career. Politicians have to protect their career. Why? Because a lot of them, a corporation might pick them up down the line as an executive leader. A corporation might not. So they got a problem. They got to make sure they keep that job in the gov while it's rolling. Now, with that said, the top-level executive types are able to save a company by asking simple questions with solid endings and vastly complex transitional changes. We were lucky to have a taste of A-grade leadership. We were lucky. We don't get A-grade CEOs at the SSA leading it. That's how it got so bad in the first place. So now the Democratic Party They're looking at this situation saying, oh, shit, this guy's amazing. This guy's incredible. This guy has fixed so many problems. He's asked so many basic questions, gotten answers for them, effectuated them, and then he measured that shit with security stat. So they're looking at this going, okay, this guy actually has solutions to the future of our problem. Now, the Democratic Party needs a new leader. I'm not going to get into what Biden did wrong. I'm not going to get into what Harris did wrong. Okay, if you like them, and that's good. That's good enough for me. Okay, many of you know I'm an independent, right? I grew up on a farm. So the farm side of me says very Republican things. The Social Security side of me says very Democrat side of things. I tend to be a little middle center, or a little middle left, rather. But at the end of the day, somebody like me who stands back and looks at all this can see that the Democratic Party had a lot of problems that they needed to work out. They did not have a direct vision as to what people were going to get if they won another 4 years. Just saying we're going to have it like how Biden did it means lots of immigrants coming in. Not a very good plan. Lots of us supporting other nations to basically allow them to use their currency as a reserve currency going forward as part of the BRICS. Basically the destruction of America. Ignoring the petrodollar, destroying the economy, and making Americans have to spend way too much at the grocery store because the CEOs could get away with it. So the Democratic Party had a problem. They did not connect with what the American people wanted. Commissioner Martin O'Malley was able to figure out what the SSA needed and what the recipients wanted. That is why his hat is going in the ring. Now, I'm going to say some things next, and they're going to piss you off, or they're going to make you happy, or they're going to make you think, or they're going to get me in trouble, which is usually what we do with this channel. So I just need you to understand very closely and very securely that when I say these things, these are generalities. You may feel offended by it. And if you do feel offended by it, please let me know in the comments. I would like to know why you feel that they're wrong. Remember the generalities. They're general directions of where things are going. Number one, the Democratic Party was losing the white vote. Caucasians, white people. They were sending out things like, try to vote like you're not white. The Democratic Party had created this weird new area of racism against whites that was allowed to just be spewed all over the internet. And people accepted it. They were all for it. I had a friend call me. He's like, yeah, we can't vote like we're white. And I was just like, I've never thought of that. Like, why would I vote like something not the color? Why would that change? Is it that my values, my morals, my brain, my analysis skills, my intellectual quotient was inherently wrong because of my skin color? But I don't know. That friend's probably not going to call me back, by the way. But the point is this. There was vast racism fronted, pushed, grounded on this idea of not voting like a white person. It was thrown all over social media, and that was a very bad message. People still put it out there. I don't know why. At some point, they're going to realize it's hyper racist. At some point. Next thing, the Democratic Party did, and I never thought this would happen in my lifetime. As you know, I come from a Jewish mother, Jewish background. I was president of JLSA in law school. I try to help people understand. And I'm going to tell you something. This is going to get me in trouble. The Jewish people are largely misunderstood, especially by Christians, especially by Muslims. Okay. The reason why is that you get people, and I mean, you could have a spectrum here. The average person doesn't know anything about them, right? All the way over to like Kanye West, right? Saying angry things. What people don't realize is that minorities seek resources in fear of being attacked and not having a defense. A war chest to fight oncomers. And so what happened with the Jewish vote is that the Democratic Party valued Muslim integration and economy manipulation against business owners and their interests over the Jewish people. That's an interesting That's an interesting way to do it. I don't know why that would be successful. I have a hard time as a person who's of Jewish origin explaining why that would be difficult, why that might not get you the Jewish vote. Now, the Democrats were also massively losing the black vote because black people are de facto tired of being last in line, de facto tired of being at the back of the bus. They want the keys to access the back high-end doors, the gold handles. They want to get access to that, and they know they can't get access to that through welfare. And they know that there are ways to build entire industries that can support their society, whatever it is, whether it's impoverished people, whether it's people that have matching skin color, etc. There are more black celebrities on TV than any other group. Just look up any TV show, right? Any TV group, right? Just look at the sports teams. There's more black individuals, more black celebrities, more black wealthy people than any other race in America. They win. They know that they cannot seek a future for their people on welfare. The pushed, promoted point of the Democratic Party. It's not going to work for them. They want better. They want more. And they deserve it. They deserve it. Let them have it. Next one. The Latino vote swung heavy Trump. Because let's be fair. They are a super hardworking people. Okay, I've worked with a lot of them. I've worked with a lot of them on my house. I've worked a lot of them on the farm. I've worked a lot of them on the rental home. I've worked with a lot of them doing all kinds of projects and things. I've worked with a lot of them doing hard labor. And I got to tell you, they want good wages for honest work. They're great electricians. They're great welders. They're great plumbers. They're great salespeople. They're great. And the problem is a fair shake, an economy that gives you a fair shake. That's crucial. Latinos want to work hard. They want to get paid for it. Why don't we allow them to do that? Well, we're going to sacrifice the economy by allowing places to have better currency transitions, to have a stronger version of their dollar, and then screw over the working class? Yeah, that's going to get a vote. That's going to get a vote real quick. Okay. Then, of course, you have, for example, the Indian vote. They tend to want to continue to grow into professionalism, careers in that marketplace, and land acquisition development. That's a direction. And let me tell you this about that. That is a group who has incredible analysis skills, very high level. They will call bullshit faster than anybody else. If you've ever sat down with Indian women and had a discussion with them, their ability to analyze and find where you made a mistake is it's hard to. It's like sitting down with Jewish women. They could nitpick the shit out of anything and find it where you were wrong, or take you on a little path to where they're right. They can play chess, and amazingly well. So to say to them, hey, we're gonna have some economy problems. We're gonna make it so that people can't afford your services. We're gonna make it so that land is very expensive. We're gonna make it so that insurance to upkeep that land is very expensive. None of that is a good sales tactic that we had under Biden for the Democrat Party. None of that works well. Not to mention, of course, there's some conflict of religions with the immigrants that were coming in. So, the smarter of you are thinking about this. You're saying to yourself, okay. But what about the biggest chunk, right? What about the white men and the white women? What went down there? Well, the white men were going heavy Trump because they want to have a more traditional lifestyle where they get to marry somebody. And under the Biden system, women are changing to be less into this idea of being in a relationship. You've seen many of them now beginning a TikTok trend where they're shaving their heads, they're swearing off men, they're going to do their own thing, and that's the future. Of course, if they were truly Democrats, they would be saying, why don't we focus on how do we go ahead and save the disabled? How do we go ahead and help the retired? You do it by having kids that get educated and become amazing workers. You don't do it by swearing off men. That's not how you do it. That's not the direction this thing needs to go. So the bottom line here, just to be fair with this, is that it came down to white women. We looked at it, and I looked at the statistics, and white women heavily voted for Trump. And I was really surprised about that. That did not make sense to me, because a lot of women fall into that liberal category, right? You know, not just like on middle left, but like full on. But let me tell you something. The ability to buy food for their family is pretty important. And then to boot, we all know that when it came down to that, losing the abortion rights to federal ruling control to the states, and that came down in 2022, right? Supreme Court ruled on it. And then the Democrats, the smarter women, they knew this. They knew this. Democrats held on to that. And they said, well, even though there are some, independents and some Republicans that would even vote federal protections for women and abortion. We went through 2022. We went through 2023. We went through 2024. And ain't no bill made it anywhere on the floor in any way that was going to be a reality. You know why? Because human suffering is worth immense amounts. If you can make people pissed off enough, you can get them to vote for you. And that is what they relied on. They relied on that white woman vote where they were so pissed off. They're so angry. How could you take a woman out? Now remember, you got to split into categories, different age groups. The 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds, they're not going to realize that the politicians are playing them. They're not going to realize that. They're just going to say, I want my bodily rights, right? But the 40s and 50-year-olds, they're starting to get smart. They're like, hey, what the hell is this? And remember, the 60, 70, 80-year-olds, they don't give a shit. I've had my kids. I ain't having another one. Not my problem. So the Democratic Party had some problems. They promoted forward Harris, who was not a strong candidate. Had they promoted Martin O'Malley, Trump would have had a more difficult time. He would have, to be fair, Trump won so much, so many votes, so many states. When you go look at the map, it's just amazing to see that there's little cities here and there, but not all over. And that represented what could decide potentially promotion of heavy immigration, heavy trans-based production of rights. That's what it was. It was producing rights for trans individuals, which we needed some of that, because they were still in America. We're fighting against them for no real reason. Now, did it go a little bit too beyond what people felt that they should go ahead and have to do? Yeah, for sure, no doubt. When trans people were saying, you have to identify me as this and use these words to talk to me, when they started to demand that a person had to change who they were to match what they wanted, then it's unconstitutional. In a small way / huge way. Because then you were trying to alter a human being's mind and life set and style of living for your benefit beyond just respect. Because, when you have respect for somebody, you want to treat them well, you want to treat them kind, you want to help them, yada, yada. But when you demand something of them, then you cross over the Rubicon into something that is not going to be a good sales point for a party trying to win the presidency again. Now, President Biden transitions to Trump. Trump gets 4 years. Where does that put us? 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028. Now, what do you know is over the horizon? In 2033, retirement benefits go into cluster bleep mode. People lose 20 to 25% of their monthly check. Total and complete chaos will ensue. Commissioner Martin O'Malley is smart. He knows that timing is absolutely everything. He knows that if the Democratic Party can outcome a failed Trump economy, where the oil, the dollar, right, the petrodollar doesn't go ahead and save Social Security, then it will place America in need of a Social Security savior. Proven track record, fixed more at the SSA than prior commissioners in, a quarter of the time? He didn't even get a year done. Now remember, his actual time there was going to end anyway soon. But to be fair, I thought he would, if President Harris or Vice President Harris got in, she would have re-upped on him. That was just too good of a pick by Biden. Now, here's the kicker. I think the thing that you have to keep in mind is that Commissioner Martin O'Malley is a highly, highly intellectual individual, a chess player, if you will. He may come off as country bumpkin. I grew up around that. And trust me, when I say this to you, there are a lot of country bumpkins who are truly country bumpkins. Their IQ is low. Their analysis skills is just not there. They're not able to see into the future. They're not able to analyze the past. It is what it is. But you will find in the smallest towns of Kentucky, the smallest lively areas of Louisiana, some of the absolutely most brilliant people you've ever met. They're not only at NASA, they're not only at some mega company. You will find them coming from everywhere. Doesn't matter what race they are, doesn't matter what sex they are. You will find them coming from everywhere. With that said, he plays a very good part. He creates simple questions with simple answers. The Einstein method of success. And he does it with a country swag, which throws everybody off from how ridiculously complex it is for him to figure these things out in such a short period of time. So here's the deal. I think that this is a move where they will grant him a position at the Democratic Party. This is the move that he needs to be placed, timeline-wise, as a competitor to Trump's replacement, ultimately who Trump will put up for the next election cycle. Remember, as we go through Trump, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, and now 2029, from the destruction of retirement benefits, paying out what they're supposed to pay out, you have 2029, 2020, 2030, 2031, 2032, and then at that point, you are at the destruction of retirement benefits. What do you need? Well, you need multiple years before the entire retirement trust fund runs out, somebody who has answers to it. I have made a list of the answers that I believe he will provide. I have made a list of what are the things that he's going to have to tackle. And we will go into those in the next video. But with that said, I'm super tired. So we are going to go ahead and go to the next video where I will go live and answer questions for free from people who want to ask me questions about Social Security benefits. Then I'm going to bed because I'm super tired. I had to wake up super early, had a hearing in the morning. I had to do a bunch of stuff, submit a bunch of motions. I couldn't even do this video on time because I had to write a brief. With that said, if this video has opened your eyes and started to get you to see what the tactical plan of the Democratic Party is, then that means you have good analysis skills. We will be going through what I believe Martin O'Malley's plan is in the next video, and we will then be going through what problems he will likely face when trying to make it so that he can become the future president. With that said, please remember to like, please remember to subscribe, become a member if you like. Now, one of the things I love seeing is when you go over to Google and you type in Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Law Firm, Florida. If you go over there, type it into Google, you throw some review stars up there. I love seeing those in the morning. Now, I'm going to be going live. I go live on Monday. I go live on Thursdays, okay? Mondays and Thursdays. So the 2 days I usually go live to answer questions. Basic rules, you call in, use a fake name, no story mode, have your legal question ready. You get about 5 to 7 minutes, and it's only general stuff. With that said, if you have a bigger question, there is a mini contract below for a private 1-hour session. We put you in between my hearings. You get direct access to my brain. I will catch you all at the next video. I'm going to go ahead and set it up right now. And then basically you will see it in the chat section below. I will see you soon. We'll go from there. And thank you so much. Attorney Walter Hnot, the most viewed and subscribed to disability attorney in America. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.